Awesome. Well, I want to welcome everybody to this live webinar presentation. We have many people that are actually dialing in that perhaps may not be able to see the slides, but I am sure the picture that's going to be painted for each and every one of you is going to excite you. Just an honor to be able to introduce our formulators for StemRenu. So hopefully you have your paper and pen out. If you don't, I would encourage you to grab it. If you're driving, just pay attention. This is also going to be recorded, so it's going to be available for each and every one of you to share with your family and loved ones, because you're going to hear some information that, again, has never been heard before in the nutritional category. So, folks, today, I have the honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Chris Morris, Tina Johnson, the formulators of StemRenu. Dr. Chris Morris, an internationally recognized naturopathic physician and sports nutritionist with advanced certifications in herbology, nutrition, dark field microscopy, and a degree in naturopathy. The member of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, author of the international best-selling book, The True Nature of Healing. Tina Johnson, advanced health and nutritional consultant. She's the founder and host of the TV and radio show Mind, Body, and Spirit. She's got 28 years of executive experience in technology and direct sales, a medical intuitive who's helped thousands of individuals and trained other health professionals in advanced wellness and technologies. So when you take a look at both Dr. Chris and Tina's studies together, it includes orthomolecular medicine, functional medicine, epigenetics, gene expression, and stem cell therapies. So with over 50 years of combined experience in natural alternative healthcare, they incorporate the latest in the world of anti-aging and energy medicine in their formulations and bring together these technology in the product that you're going to hear today, folks, and that is StemRenu. Dr. Chris, Tina, it is an honor to have both of you here today to share a product that, again, is going to be one of those products that people are going to be talking about 20, 30, 40 years from now. So welcome to the webinar here. Thank you for taking the time to share with us your knowledge, your experience, and the information. The webinar, I'm turning it over to both of you. Thank you again.
Thank
Andreas,
you.
yes, thank you so much. It's so exciting to be here. This is what Dr. Chris and I truly love to do. Chris?
Real pleasure. Yeah, thank you so much, Andreas. And we're excited about what we have to present. And Tina, take it away with our regenerative nutrient approach with StemRenu.
Okay. Well, you know, our background, Chris and I, we had a practice in Minnesota. And when we were working in Minnesota together, it was really quite interesting. Our paths crossed, and there were some common things that both Dr. and Chris and I had together. We had this uncanny, desire, this quest to truly be as healthy as we possibly could. Not only be as healthy as we possibly could, but we also wanted to either slow or reverse any kind of aging. And so, and with that, it brought us to what we call today regenerative nutrition or renewal science. And until now, in our practice, we had nutrients that were utilized solely for replenishment of deficiencies. And this was to work against diseased cells. So we were trying to just create some way of being able to replenish the body. Now, in contrast, as we started to move forward and we were working with stem cells and stem cell therapies with some of our clients who were really, truly degenerated, we started to work with new nutrients, and these are called regenerative nutrients. Now, what's interesting and different about these is we provide nutritional food to nourish the growth of the regenerative cells in the body. Now, these are two very different schools of science. They don't substitute each other. They actually belong to different areas of medicine and understanding. But once they're combined They complement each other. They're extremely powerful. Chris, did you want to make any comments?
No, just that it really is a whole new approach, and we have to understand that the body has been designed to regenerate itself, and we all only in the beginning thought this was available to the lower species like salamanders or worms, and you cut off a leg and it could regrow. But in the higher species, that same technology exists. It's just that you have to access it through a different mechanism that we haven't discovered until now. And that's what we're really going to share with you, how to access that regenerative power within all of us. So this is so exciting.
Let's give an example. We have a very perfect example of how we were able to discover renewal science that uses regenerative nutrition. We have my Uncle Richard, who had very progressed Parkinson's. He was on 7 medications. He became depressed. He had anxiety. He couldn't sleep at night. And, he had to give up things that he loved in his world, and he was 70. So he had some breakdown going on. But he came to us in our practice and said, look, the medical system's not working for me. We focused on what could we replace in his body that was missing to try to help slow that progression or try to reverse it somehow. Well, we did okay, but he was still having tremors. And, he didn't want to go out into public. He was very embarrassed by this. So when we were exposed, or we found these regenerative nutrients, he was the first person that we wanted to give them to try. And as soon as he took his first capsule of what we call StemRenu, it was amazing. We got a phone call at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he said, what is this? I was able to pour my first cup of coffee without spilling on the counter in 9 months. He said, I feel incredible. I feel like my life is changing here. Can I take more? And we were like, absolutely, take more. What happened with him as he started to take 3 of them a day, he was able to not only reduce his medications, but he was able to get part of his life back. He was able to sleep at night. His anxiety went away. He went back to golfing. He went to back to bowling. He now has a girlfriend at 75. His life changed, and we were so ecstatic, and the phenomena to us about his regeneration, and the doctors, we couldn't even explain it. We were like, this is fantastic. But a couple of things. He had an environment, his body. We had given him some really good nutrition because we were focused on deficiency. And as soon as he took the regenerative nutrients, they complemented each other. They really worked together quickly to regenerate some of his tissue.
I think you make a really good point there, Tina. If we go to the next slide, we could take a little bit of better look at how it works. And what you see here is a cross-section of a cell, and on the surface of those cells are thousands of receptor sites. And what we designed in StemRenu is the ability to build and repair these receptor sites, because the brain of the cell is on the surface. It's not in the nucleus, not in the center. And that's because the cell responds to its environment. And all these thousands of different signals that pass through the bloodstream to the cells is what's required. And as we age, we lose the receptor site capability, we lose the signaling capability, and this is what accelerates the aging process. So here's what you're going to see the change in the environment, so these signals can be delivered as long as they're in the body. And also the receptor sites begin to repair and regenerate. So you're talking about 100,000 signals per second per cell, and you have trillions of cells in the body. So that's the miraculous dynamics that goes on. But this is what breaks down and causes the accelerated aging. Do you want to grab the next slide there, Andreas? Good. Thank you. Thank you. So here's what Tina was referring to as far as the secret to the fountain of youth. The key to understanding how the body's going to regenerate is to work with the stem cells in the body. because when your stem cell doesn't regenerate or repair, what you end up with usually is scar tissue or fibrosis. This is the hardening of the tissue that happens when you see it on the surface of your skin. When you cut yourself and it doesn't heal properly, you get a scar. Well, that happens internally all the time unless there's enough stem cells available in order to regenerate and repair without the scarring to make healthy tissue again. So these stem cells are remarkable cells. They have the ability to not only differentiate into all the different types of cells, but make another stem cell so that it goes right back into your pool of stem cells to be available for future. And Tina, you know, when we did this graphics, we didn't understand regenerative nutrient and regeneration the way we do today, because you see the arrow goes from the stem cell down to the different types of cell, muscle, bone, fat, liver, kidney, doesn't matter. But now we know with regenerative nutrient is that we take these tissue cells, these muscle cells, these fat cells, these cartilage cells, and the body with the proper environment, as Tina mentioned, and the right signals that we provide with our StemRenu, you create stem cells out of these tissue cells. So you actually have the ability to have access to trillions of stem cells in your body if needed to repair damage, but it's dependent upon the signaling. It's dependent upon the environment. So this is what's new. This is what's come out in the last, let's say, couple years of stem cell technology, because now studying the skin, we realize that as the skin repairs, all of a sudden skin cells are turned into skin stem cells. And these skin stem cells go and repair all the different types of tissue in the skin surface. So go ahead, Tina.
I was going to say exactly. You know, we were talking, you and I, earlier about a heart. If a heart is damaged, you know, it's going to find healthy heart tissue and convert them to the stem cells, right? And then the stem cells are going to turn around and create more healthy heart tissue. So let's say that you have a damaged heart. You take StemRenu, and there's all this signaling that's going to happen, and now your heart tissue has a chain reaction. In other words, it starts to create all of the different levels and layers of the tissue that the heart needs to repair itself. And when it does that, it's so amazing. It creates another stem cell. It replicates itself and puts it into a stem cell pool to be used for other areas of the body. Then once the heart is completely regenerated, it stops the process. And as we age, this whole cycle, this signaling, as Dr. Chris was saying, it degenerates. And so when you integrate regenerative nutrients like StemRenu back into the body, this process starts to happen all over again.
I know, Tina, and it wasn't until just recently understanding how the new science is validating this, is that we were amazed over the years with StemRenu how we're hearing these stories of all of a sudden individuals on dialysis can start to pee again. You know, their kidneys are working. We had clients with cardiomyopathy, just as you explained, the heart muscle had degenerated to a point where they were on the transplant list, and all of a sudden their heart's working again. We're seeing the linings of the blood vessels get cleaned out, and all of a sudden the sclerosis, the atherosclerosis, no longer exists when they're being tested.
Macular degeneration. We're seeing people reverse macular degeneration. That's very hard to do as well. The brain with children and adults, and look at my Uncle Richard. I mean, it's just phenomenal what the body can do when you give it what it needs to be able to regenerate itself.
And again, to be able to understand it now, how the body has its own divine dynamics. And we're not talking about making claims about and curing any disease or ailment. With regenerative science, we're talking about working with the healthy tissue. We're not going after, the conventional approach of going after diseases or diseased tissue. We're allowing the body to heal and repair with its healthy tissue, and we're just supporting the healthy tissue and its ability to do this regeneration. So I think that's a really key point there.
It is, and here's another thing that I think is really important to mention. When we're talking about regenerative nutrition for cellular nourishment, now the latest and most current experimental data shows that these regenerative nutrients promotes the proliferation of normal cells and cannot promote cancer cell growth. It will destroy it.
Exactly. That's just remarkable. It has, again, the body's wisdom how to differentiate and know the difference. You know,
it knows how to replace those disease cells on its own.
Exactly. Right. Exactly, through its own normal process, and doesn't allow those disease cells to proliferate. They don't grow any further, as you said. So on the next slide, Andreas, we put this slide in to give you an idea of where conventional medicine is, because just this last week I had a conversation with a brilliant integrative doctor. I mean, here's a medical doctor who trained in the medical field as their specialty, but they realized over the years that they needed to incorporate more integration, which means using natural therapies, understanding how the body works without drugs and how to do nutrition. And so here's a brilliant physician that I've referred many patients to because of their understanding and their capabilities. But they couldn't get their head around of this new process that we've discovered in stem cell technology and renewal science, that the body's own tissue cells can reverse themselves and turn into stem cells, and then the stem cells can go and create all the different types of tissue needed to repair damaged organs or damaged tissue. So here's a research study that came out just this last week out of Ohio State University at their medical center, and they showed a new chip technology where they would take a chip and they would place it on the skin, and they would put the signal proteins that we're introducing in StemRenu, but they would have the isolated proteins for a specific tissue type. When you think about StemRenu, it's pre-embryonic signaling, meaning it's signaling for the entire body, for the 210 different types of tissue in the body. This is what we can regenerate and repair with the signaling in StemRenu. But getting back to the conventional science, they just realized that if they put in the appropriate signals, they can convert skin cells into the specific types of cells that they're trying to use for regeneration. So in their lab, they took lab animals. These were mice that had injured legs because of the vascularity. The blood vessels were damaged. And so they put the chip on, they send in the signal to regenerate blood vessels, and all of the mice that had the signal put in for regenerating the vascularity, the blood vessels, they repaired and the leg was healed. And then all the control group, they showed that the leg didn't survive. So here we've got conventional science catching up with what we've already been doing with our StemRenu, and I think this is just remarkable for everyone to understand out there. So the next slide for us, Andreas. You'll see here again a cross-section of a cell. You see the receptor site receiving the signal, and that signal goes in. And normally we would just say, well, it's signaling to create, more enzymes, more structural proteins like neurotransmitters, hormones, all the different things the cell does. This is what a cell does. It makes tissue, it makes proteins, and it makes energy. But now we know that we could signal a cell, whether it's a liver cell, a heart cell, it doesn't matter, a skin cell, and turn it back into a stem cell. We call it de-differentiation. And it de-differentiates into a stem cell, and then that stem cell can be used wherever the body has damage or sending out a signal to repair. And this is just a remarkable breakthrough that we've made. And I think, Tina, if you'd like to maybe just get into some of the ingredients and how they work on the regenerative process, or any more comments on this slide here?
No, definitely. Let's go to the ingredients.
Okay, go. Next slide.
So we focus here on the marine mineral complex. And what's so important about this marine mineral complex is that it has been clinically studied, this ingredient, and we have 1 in 7-year studies to completely reverse bone degeneration. One of the things that we saw in our practice is people were so deficient in minerals, and we would see them taking different kinds of calcium. And as they would take calcium, what they were doing, because now everything's calcium enriched, but it's the wrong kind of calcium. That calcium typically comes from rocks. And if you think about eating rocks, number one, we really don't utilize those very well, those nutrients. And we see a lot of calcification or deposits along the different joints of the body or in the kidneys. And so with this marine mineral complex, it's plant-based. And what's important about that is the body utilizes it. And so it allows our system, our bones, to really, truly regenerate. And what's important about this is that our bones is where our bone marrow is, and that's where we make our stem cells, our healthy stem cells. So we need to have those healthy bones.
So we always knew the bone marrow was a prolific source for making stem cells, but now we know that every healthy tissue in the body has the ability to be a stem cell as well. So now we're repairing the structure. What Tina mentioned is that this full mineral complex that is 97% bioavailable versus rock calcium, which is like 20 to 40% bioavailable, and the rest of the 60%, if you get 40% in, goes into residue. So your body has to excrete it, and if it doesn't, it deposits. But what we're saying here is that this is such a unique ingredient. It has the ability to repair the entire structure dynamics of every tissue in the body, and especially the bones where we've done the studies. So here you're making the fertile ground for the stem cells to be available to you whenever they're drawn upon with our regenerative nutrients. So next slide, please, Andreas.
Now, Dr. Chris talked about the signal molecules or the receptor sites, on the different cells. And so, Chris, do you want to focus on why this unique ingredient is so powerful in StemRenu?
Yes, the aloe is key, not for just its healing properties have been known for thousands of years. Every culture on the planet has been aware of aloe vera and has been using it in their own cultural medicine. And some of the reasons for its healing properties that it has very unique sugars, long-chain sugars, that are specific to restructuring and repairing receptor sites. And remember we said the aging process happens because we lose the ability for these receptor sites on the cells to receive the signals to do all the magical things that cells do. So with this aloe vera, we're helping to repair the receptor sites for the signaling to happen. And also, we have the ability to activate the release of stem cells. And now we're learning that it's probably a key regenerative nutrient to help with this conversion, because the studies we have, again, every one of our ingredients has very unique studies, and this is why we've chosen them to work synergistically together. And what we learned with the aloe is that when we consume this specific aloe, believe me, not the others that have been processed, but this one that is exactly like fresh aloe vera, has the ability to increase the stem cell release in the body by as much as 200 and 300% with the minimum dosages that we recommend with the StemRenu. So every day that you take it, you're facilitating the release of these stem cells. So you're helping with this conversion from healthy tissue to the stem cell, and the stem cell reconverts with the proper signal, if it's there, into the tissue that it needs to repair and regenerate. So this two big pieces to the puzzle of regenerative nutrient here, Tina, with the minerals and now the aloe vera that we use. On the next slide is the miraculous discovery that really makes StemRenu what it is. And Tina, I'll let you go for it here with our amazing avian egg.
Yeah, I get to talk about this one because of my Norwegian heritage, don't I? So, Yeah, this one has been just, this is the miracle one too, and all three of those combined they're just synergistically, they work to really create that stem cell environment. And this one focuses more with these unique embryonic signal proteins that activate your stem cells, and that's what that signaling that declines very quickly starts at the age of 21. So we have a fertilized 10-day incubated hen egg. We extract the white, and we don't high heat it. You know, what through this very unique extraction process, we preserve these very powerful signal proteins, and we can only get this from Norway. There's nowhere else in the world that we can get this, and it's so pure and pristine in Norway, their environment. They only have to give their hens one vaccination, versus if we were to buy this egg off the shelf or this egg protein anywhere in the United States, when we sell it commercially here or anywhere else in the world, we're talking about vaccinations that are anywhere from 15 to 22 of them per hen. That creates a problem, and we also have to high heat it because of any bacteria or diseases that might be caused. Well, that will degenerate or bring down those signal proteins to almost nothing. So this unique egg or ingredient really accelerates this process that we're talking about in the body, and that's the stem cell process.
Exactly. So we access the fountain of youth with these signals, and we create the environment with the other ingredients to allow those signals to do the magic that they do. And Tina, I think this whole the process of regenerating needs to be stressed a little bit more, because everyone on this call, I'm sure, is aware of just good nutrition and good food and lifestyle and how important it is to maintain our health and integrity. But our genetics is to be, 120, 150, and all of that is only possible if we access this regenerative system, this renewal system as we refer to it. And one of the organs that degenerates probably the fastest within our system is the GI tract. And the GI tract is so important because what is its main function? Digestion, right? Assimilation of this nutrition that we're looking for. Well, very few of us realize that by the age of 40, almost 50% of our GI tract has been degenerated. And we're talking about a 27-foot long tube that has the surface area of a tennis court. So by age 40, you've lost half of that capability to absorb nutrient. By age 50, it's 60%. By age 60, it's as much as 80%. So you see how all of a sudden, substance and nutrient and food is necessary for life, but yet we don't have the capability to absorb the nutrient. We're buying the best food, and we're eating organic, and we're spending, lots of good money on good nutrition, and yet our body can't use it. And so to introduce something that can regenerate and repair, starting with the GI tract, which is very, regenerative. It's one of the organs that that nature has made to regenerate because it plays such a key role in who we are and how our health. We're able to start working with that, and fixing the GI tract is so critical. I mean, in our practice, we would talk about so many things with digestion, right, Tina?
We did. That was the number one thing that we would talk about. And usually not a very comfortable topic, because you're talking about elimination. Are you eliminating? It's amazing to us when we were in our practice, people thought that being able to eliminate, every third or fourth day was normal, and that's not normal. So some of the things that we would have people do to really complement getting that gut back in order is, you've got to clean it out. So you either go have colonics, or you make sure that you're taking something that starts to help you move things out of the body every single day. You have to clean out. You also have to build the gut. And There's so much in the gut. I mean, it's really our first brain. When we say we have a gut feeling, you know, we look at the energetics of the gut. It's so important to have that in balance. And so we would talk about probiotics. We would make sure that we had the right fiber that we were having people take. So key and so important. And with NHT Global, you have the probiotics and the fiber that you can also do to help get this environment back, you know, in working order. The other thing that was really important that we would talk about was hydration. So many people think that if you're drinking soda, you're drinking a liquid and that's going to suffice, or coffee or tea. And those are actually very dehydrating. So making sure that you're getting good, clean water every single day is truly important. And then to absorb it, we have Cluster X, which is fabulous, you know, that you can, you know, have a more absorbable water and utilize it better. And so use that as well. We talked about how our body calcifies. Like there's a metaphor that we use, like when you see the shower, you're in the shower, and Chris, you talked about this yesterday, and you all of a sudden look at all of the film in the shower, or you know, these deposits, you know, that happens inside our body. That happens inside our cells. So if you're working with the Restore products, that's going to help clean out that old calcification in the body and in the cells. So we highly recommend utilizing those as well. I mean, there's just so many things. We could talk forever. I mean, we have fats, you know, the myth around fats, that fats are bad for you. Well, it's not true. You know, so many people, I'm really shocked. Chris and I would say, well, how many fruits and vegetables do you eat? And they'd go, no, I don't eat those. What? And that's on the rise, and I don't know why that is, but we tell people, eat a rainbow salad every day. Get all the colors of the rainbow in. If you can't, at least get a green juice. They've got some really great green juices, or do something to supplement, because in order for this regenerative science or these regenerative nutrients to really work optimally in the body, you have to have that environment. Otherwise, and they complement each other. One doesn't replace the other. They complement each other. So those are some of the main areas that we would focus on if we were talking to you in our practice.
So in the next slide, we really validated what we were working with, Andreas, because when you have a stronger, healthier body, all of a sudden you're dealing with stress better. It's like when you're a child, you know, you get exposed to stress and it's gone instantly. Today we experience stress and it just continues to tear down the body. It accelerates the aging process. And again, the clinical studies we have on just the egg alone has the capability to reduce our stress levels by as much as 50%. And we've shown this clinically by measuring cortisol, the stress hormone. And this is probably one of the most destructive hormones in our body that it's critical for life and dealing with emergencies. But when it's chronically expelled from the body because of the stress that we're constantly bombarded with, 7/24, we just don't get a break from this cortisol release. And Tina, you know how bad cortisol can really break down the body. I mean, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Definitely.
This is one of
You
our
mentioned,
favorite topics about patients.
Yeah, you mentioned the accelerated aging. We actually can age 10 times faster, and it breaks down our collagen. You know, and collagen is the glue that holds all of our cells together. We all know collagen primarily is for our skin, to make our skin look great and healthy, but we need collagen internally as well. All this accelerated stress is going to hurt our blood sugar and our pH, and it's going to steal energy from our body. The other thing is that with this excess cortisol, it's going to excrete these hormones, and it's going to cause us to store fat around the belly. We talk about the tire around the belly, and it's going to burn muscle. So you have to be able to get this stress really brought back into balance, and StemRenu does that. So we see people take StemRenu and they go, why do I feel calm? And it's because it helps the emotional body. It gives you the ability, your stress is probably always going to be there. Your life is going to probably always have stressors, but you're going to be able to handle the stressors better. So we tell people, anytime you're going to be in a stressful environment, it's okay to take more, because this is a whole food supplement. It's a powerful therapeutic whole food supplement by the way we, synergistically combine it and how we extract, and make it very concentrated. But it's something that you can take to mediate your stress. We take extra when we travel. If we have a very stressful situation where we, just need that extra StemRenu, it really, really does help. And so if you can mediate your stress, you're going to help the other areas in your environment that we've already talked about as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think again, when we hear the stories that come back to us with those that start on StemRenu, how they're losing weight without changing their diet, because again, stress is one of the ways that we store, fat, like you said. They're not looking for that coffee break in the afternoon because energy levels have balanced out, the blood sugar balances. So all of these things are so critical to your health and well-being, but also they're significant to show how the body is regenerating. Instead of us going from that first photograph on the left there with the woman and she's starting to wrinkle and age as you go to the right, we're seeing the reverse of that now with StemRenu because of this regenerative process that we're accessing. So on the next slide, Andreas, we'd really like to just show the importance of the full spectrum of replenishment and renewal all together and how it works synergistically. And Tina touched on this a great deal earlier about all the different fantastic formulas that are available through NHT that facilitate the protein requirements with triotein, the ability to get the good fats from the omega-3s, the cluster water that just opens up all this, channels of communication through the lymphatics and the bloodstream with good water. So don't underestimate the value of nutrition, but again, until you restore and regenerate that GI tract, until you restore and regenerate the kidneys and liver and the endocrine system, again with StemRenu, all of this nutrition is good for you, but you're not going to get the full benefit, the full value out of everything that's available from NHT. So to wrap things up here, Andreas, on the last slide, here's the takeaway. If you look at the graph, it shows the typical, average of today. If we live to be in our 80s, we've hit the norm. This is what we expect out of our lives. But actually, with Renewal Science, we're telling you 120, 150 is possible, and not only possible, but most probable going to happen when you understand how to regenerate the body and what we're sharing with you here today. And the difference is, if you look at the skin of the same individual, when they were a baby, their skin could renew every 2 weeks. But when they're 80 years old, their skin can only renew somewhere between 12 and 14 weeks. And you see how it begins to get sclerotic and it loses its circulation and all the tissue starts to break down and it discolors and you see the age spots, which essentially is just rusting from within. And when we introduce this regenerative nutrient, we're bringing back the ability for that skin to regenerate and renew and repair itself in 4 to 6 weeks, like when we were teenagers and in our 20s. So remember, you have an opportunity here to take something every day to activate your regenerative system, to bring back those stem cells that are being called upon by your body, all the damage that's there, whether it was something from a trauma or emotional issues that impacted the chemistry of the body. All of these things are something that we know now we can regenerate and repair. And I just wanted to leave everyone with that visual there, that you can have the youthful vitality, not just in your skin, but throughout your body by taking StemRenu. Tina, any closing thoughts here before we just turn it back to Andreas?
Nope, we're good. Thank you.
Andreas, thank you so much for having us here today. Any comments, questions you have for us?
Well, I guess my first comment would be an understatement, and the word that comes to me is actually wow. And literally, I'm on my 5th page of notes, and I've listened to your webinars and information for over a year now, and it's amazing, just the stuff that I keep piling on here on my notes. And for those of you that are listening here, I would encourage you to listen to this again. It is recorded. It will be available. And, you know, if this doesn't stimulate you to give this product to all your family and loved ones, wow. I mean, wow is the word for the day, is and I think that's an understatement. But I do have a question, because this does come up. And if we can hear it from, you know, you, Dr. Chris, and you, Tina, we get a lot of people that, you know, hear the benefits, and after watching this webinar, I think we're going to have a lot more people that are going to want to get on this product very, very quickly. So we have people that are on medications, and we have people that, you know, are seeing medical doctors, and maybe some relief or no reliefs. And the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, you know, I have to talk to my doctor. Can I take this with this medication? So if you can just put at ease some of the people that perhaps are in that situation, what would you tell those people who have those questions?
Great question. So 2 things. First of all, you know, it's very safe. It's a whole food supplement. It's not a medication. So it doesn't interfere with medications, and we definitely want them to go to their doctor. When they're on medications and they take StemRenu to their doctor, first of all, the approach is very, very important. When they approach their doctor, they need to say, I'm taking this. Is there any reason why I shouldn't take it? Or show it to them and say, is there any reason why I shouldn't take it? I want to take this. And it's very important, because if you go to your doctor and say, can I take this? They have to say no. Otherwise, they're liable. But if you go in with that different attitude, that different approach, they're more than likely now going to work with you if you're taking medications. So the other thing to consider, that second point, is that once the body starts to regenerate and repair itself, medications are going to become too strong, because your body's not going to need the medication to regulate itself. It's going to take over its own regulations. So with that being said, like my uncle, who was on 7 medications and went down to 1, he was thrilled, because he was able to have less medications, because he knew that the side effects, he was taking 1 medication, he'd have side effects. From that, he'd have to take another one for those side effects. So the more that we can get our body back to its natural functions, then the healthier we're going to be, the longer we're going to live, because those medicines, you might need them, but remember, it is toxic. So there's just a delicate balance, and your doctor has to be willing to work with you to look at your medications and readjust them.
That's so true, Tina. And the same thing applies. We get the question about with if I'm pregnant or lactating, can the woman, can the mother take the StemRenu? And we say, again, you have to work with your doctor, because, again, you're turning on systems that haven't been turned on for decades. And when the liver starts cleansing or the system starts, activating again, it's going to be a dramatic shift. It's already, the body's going through tremendous changes with the gestation cycle and pregnancy, and also lactation. You're giving the fortification for the new baby to build and grow and regenerate, to develop itself. So work with your doctor. If you're on the StemRenu and you become pregnant, there's no problem. This will help you continue to just make just a beautiful, healthy baby. But if you're wondering about taking it and you're pregnant and lactating, you need to consult with your doctor. So anything else, Andreas.
No, I just want to let everybody know we're so fortunate to have both of you in NHT and bringing this product to NHT. You know, I know people are going to be going wow after this. It is recorded. It is going to be available, and the amount of people that we can help with what we just heard is truly unlimited. So the word remarkable, incredible, wow, it really is the next generation of therapeutic nutrition. We have it, you brought it to us, and now it's really up to us to go out there and share it with people that would love this information. So I'm just honored to be a part of this. I want to thank both of you guys for an amazing, amazing, informative webinar. Folks, take this information, share it with the world. It is really our duty to go out there and share this, because this is what people need and what people are looking for. So once again, Dr. Chris, Tina, oh my gosh, thank you so much. we appreciate this information, and goodbye to everybody who was able to join us here live. So any final goodbyes or any other final comments before we close the webinar?
Well, everyone's had a chance to see the future and experience it right now. We really appreciate your strong recommendations to take advantage of this, and we'd like to just reinforce that, and we're just so privileged and honored to be with NHT and having you help us get the word out. Andreas, thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you, and looking forward to future webinars with more information and more with Dr. Chris and Tina. So thank you everybody for joining us. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye now.